I'm the plant gals. I'm going to make another video not related to plants. So once again today, instead of the snake gals, you can call me the hedgehog gals. And today I'm going to be telling you about why you shouldn't buy a hedgehog. I am the proud owner of Chef Kawasaki. He has been my baby for 3 years. He is a 3-year-old male African pygmy hedgehog. If you're curious what coloring he is, I believe it's called apricot. He is my sweetheart and my baby. He's very excited right now to root around, and he loves digging through my laundry and being very silly, and that's what he's gonna do. So I'm not gonna be holding him for the whole video. He's gonna hang out. If he comes by, I'm probably gonna pick him up and show him off just because he's so freaking cute, and it'll probably invalidate all my points because no matter what I say, you're just gonna go, oh my gosh, Chef is so cute. I don't care what Chloe says, but I'm still gonna tell you. So I'm extremely passionate about talking about hedgehogs. I didn't script this video because people tell me all the time that they want a hedgehog, and I'm like, no, you don't. And I absolutely love having Chef. I have loved every moment I've had him, and I will probably own hedgehogs for the rest of my life. Sorry, he's just being silly. But there's some intricacies of owning hedgehogs and reasons why I don't really recommend them for certain people, most people. And why I think you probably shouldn't get one, even if you do think they're cute. So first of all, hedgehogs are an exotic pet. You cannot take them to the regular vet. When I first got my Sheffy, he had to go to the exotic vet when he was a baby because he had a rash on his bum. It was nothing crazy, it was just a rash, and it came out to about $700 to treat him, which was a lot more than he was and even his setup was. So you need to be prepared that you can spend the money on your hedgehog. And your hedgehog is not quite like having a hamster, and rodents are extremely intelligent. But I'd just like to remind you that a hedgehog is not a rodent. They're actually a shrew, and they're carnivorous. So when Chevy was a baby, when he got treats, I would typically give him mealworms. I also feed him a hedgehog diet. As he's gotten older, I've actually shifted him towards pinky mice, the same mice that I feed my snake. If you're not comfortable feeding your hedgehog things that are live mealworms, I don't feed him live pinky mice. They're frozen thawed, but that still really creeps people out. It's another reason you shouldn't get a hedgehog, and you should be prepared to spend a decent amount on food. It's not cheap. It's not like buying rabbit food or something like that. You have to buy a specialized hedgehog diet for your hedgehog, and it's extremely important because one of the main diseases that hedgehogs get is called wobbly hedgehog syndrome. It's extremely bad. It's basically ALS in hedgehogs, and a lot of research is going to showing that wobbly hedgehog syndrome is a result of poor nutrition and missing vitamins in their diet, but it's also genetic because we can't take any more African pygmy hedgehogs in the wild, and a few of the ones that we took when we took them out of the wild a long time ago and made them domestic, even though they're not truly very domesticated. Some of them had wobbly hedgehog, or one of them, or whatever, but it was enough that it actually affects our hedgehog population now. If you get from a reputable breeder, they usually have a no wobbly hedgehog syndrome guarantee. So I do recommend getting them from a reputable breeder, but that's not always the case. Sometimes you want to rescue a hedgehog, sometimes your friend has a hedgehog, they're not prepared to care for it, or whatever the circumstance may be. It's just something to be aware of. Now, hedgehogs are, sorry, he's being really silly. Hedgehogs are gross. So, and they're not gross like any other animal you've ever owned. So yes, they poop. And they actually poop while they're running. So when they run on their wheel all night, which they will all night, and they're quite loud, another reason you probably don't want one, and they poop, and they cover their entire wheel in poop, and you have to clean that. Typically hedgehogs can be litter box trained. Chef is litter box trained, and that makes my life a lot easier. That being said, I don't really treat him like he's litter box trained. When I clean out his cage, I just clean out the entire thing, not just the areas where he pees and poos, because sometimes he does it in other places, even though he's litter box trained, like underneath his wheel. The other thing I'll show you, and I actually have a good example of it, so typically I avoid this, but I let it happen so I can show it on video, is called contact dermatitis. You can see it on my own arm. Those are hives from a hedgehog. Now, some people are more allergic to them than others, but this reaction pretty much occurs in everybody who owns a hedgehog. They are gross, not really, but they do have like a mild irritant in their saliva, and when they poke you with their quills, it causes you to get hives. I actually have quite a severe reaction to them, but I've actually had a lot of friends handle him and they have very, very similar reactions. So if you're not comfortable with that, don't own a hedgehog because you are going to have to handle them. The other gross thing about hedgehogs is that they do something called anointing. Now, I think this is so cool. It's extremely uncommon. Typically, animals like your dog will pee on a tree. And when they pee on that tree, they're like, hey, this tree smells like me. This is my area. Don't come near me. But hedgehogs actually do the reverse of that. They self-anoint themselves. So they take smells and things from their environment and they lick it up in their mouth and they get all foamy and frothy in their mouth and they spit it back onto themselves so that they smell like their environment. Now, hedgehogs actually will do this to each other, the food they eat, and you. It's really important that you let your hedgehog anoint you. Some people might disagree with that. I think it's extremely important because they're showing you that they want to smell like you. If you're not comfortable with your hedgehog profusely licking your hand, foaming at the mouth, spitting it back onto themselves and you should not own a hedgehog. It is their natural behavior, it's how they interact with you, and it's something that you need to be okay with, quite frankly. And it is kind of gross, but they also like make these weird positions because sometimes they want to like get it on their back or they want to like get it on their bum and they like contort themselves. I'll insert some pictures of Chef doing it. It's very cute. To the right person, it's cool. To the wrong person, it's gross. The other thing, and I don't know 100% how to talk about this, hedgehogs go through puberty, and this is typically around the same time that they do something called quilling, in my experience at least. Quilling is when they lose all their baby quills and they grow in their thicker quills. Their baby quills are very sharp, even sharper than their adult quills, and kind of like when dogs have those little baby teeth and they're so sharp and sharky and gross and they lose their teeth. So basically they do that. If you have your hedgehog out and about, you will get these little baby quills all over their house and they will go into your feet. Typically hedgehogs only quill once. Hedgehogs can lose quills if they get sick or they get skin infections, mites, ringworm, things like that, which are common conditions in hedgehogs that you have to be aware of and know how to look out for the signs of them. So they can lose quills for those reasons, but typically they lose their quills during their puberty. Now, I have a male hedgehog. I cannot speak to my experience owning a female hedgehog, but male hedgehogs go through puberty in a similar way to most teenage boys, and they are gross and they're loud and they get hedgehog juice on themselves and you have to clean it all the time. Chef still does this and I still do have to get the hedgehog juice off of him from time to time, but not like when he was going through puberty. When he was going through puberty, it was quite intense. And the thing is that you do need to bathe your hedgehog, but they can get very dry skin, so you have to give them a specific type of bath. I have this whole routine with like a specific type of moisturizer that's pet safe, and I give him an oatmeal bath and all this stuff. You have to be prepared to do that when your hedgehog gets boy juice on himself, or whether he just kind of is gross, which they will get gross whether they're doing that or not, and you got to clean them. And your girl hedgehog, you'll have to do that too, but you have to make sure you're giving the right type of bath so that you're not drying out their skin. I live in a place that's extremely dry, so this is something that I have to take very seriously. Part of the reason that he had a skin infection when I first got him was because the place that he came from wasn't properly caring for his skin. So now I take good care of my little hedgehog's skin. Hedgehogs are also spiky, and that sounds so silly, but I'm serious. There's so many people that buy hedgehogs and they think that they're not going to be spiky. They totally are. Now, hedgehogs, when they're happy and they're content, their quills go totally flat. I'll see if sorry, he's in my pile of laundry. I need to extract him. So this is an angry hedgehog who's just been picked up from his pile of favorite laundry. He's actually not that angry. When they're completely really angry, their quills go like in this little crisscross formation. So right now you can kind of see that his quills are pretty flat. I can pet him like this. I can push him down. Sorry, he really wants to explore today. But you can see that I can actually like grab his quills. They can move with my hand. I can pet him in the opposite direction, going in the pointy direction, and I don't get hurt, and I can hold him by his quills. So that's when their quills are pretty chill. I'm still getting poked a tiny bit, but not very much, and I'm also just kind of used to it. However, sorry, this is the noise they make. That's him talking. Sounds like a little revving car engine. However, the thing that you do need to know is they can get upset, and when they get upset, their quills cross like this, and it hurts so bad. Typically they do this when you're trying to take them out of their enclosure. They seem to never be happy about getting taken out of their enclosure as much as they love the treats and the love and the playtime that you give them when they get out of their enclosure. They don't care. So you have to be okay with getting poked, and like I said, you have to be okay with getting contact dermatitis from them. It happens. It's not going to kill you unless you're like super allergic to hedgehogs, and then that's an even better reason not to get one. So I had to put Chef away, and I moved locations and clothes for this video because I had other stuff to do, and I forgot about that. But now I'm back, and I have a few more things to say. Hedgehogs don't live very long, and they are prone to a lot of different diseases. So if your hedgehog has wobbly hedgehog syndrome, which there is a decently significant chance they do, sometimes it's up to 1 in 10 in some studies I read. With proper breeding, it is going down a lot, and it depends the region you get them from and where they get them from, but they don't live a long time. If your hedgie does have wobbly hedgehog syndrome, I've known people who've had hedgies that have had it, and it's not very fun. But that is a risk you take when you get a hedgehog, and you have to be prepared for that, and that's your buddy. You made a commitment to be with them for their whole life, so you have to be prepared for the good and the bad in that. That comes back to expensive exotic vet bills, you know, whatever you have to do to take care of your hogger. The other thing is, like I said, in general, they don't live very long. So if you have a female hedgehog, they're definitely more prone to tumors, kind of like other small animals. But small animals in general are prone to tumors. That's probably near the end of your hedgehog's life. What's going to start happening to them is they're going to get some lumps, and then they're maybe going to get a lump that's worse than the other lumps. This sucks to talk about. I haven't got there with Chef yet. I really, really hope I don't get there for a long time. I've been very lucky with his health. I promise I'll talk about happy things after this. But that's something you have to be prepared for. And in general, like, you're looking at 3 to 6 years for a hedgehog, typically. It varies a lot. There are people who've had them, I think, up to 8 years, maybe older, but they're not the most long-lived thing. It's not going to live a long time like most dogs or cats will. It's a small animal, and a lot of small animals do have shorter lifespans, and that's something you have to be aware of. And it's something that I hate. I like buying animals that live a longer time, and I wish he lived longer, obviously. I've been so blessed to have 3 years with him already. I'm hoping for another 3, we'll see, but that's just the reality. The other thing is, and I hope I don't get hate for this, but I genuinely mean it, and I have a very strong stance on this. Hedgehogs are not pets for kids. There are pets that you can get your kid, and I'm a strong believer that depending on the age of your kid, no pet is for kids, like especially like under 10. It's your pet, and you pretend like it's your kid's pet, and you let them name it and handle it gently, but you as an adult are responsible for the care of your pet. If you're maybe a teenager and you're watching this video and you think you're going to convince your parents to get you a hedgehog, you do need to be prepared to take care of it for its whole life. And, you know, are you going to be going to university in a few years? Can you take it with you? In my case, I could. Where is your life going to be taking you in the next 6 years? Like, you have to be prepared to move on with your hedgehog. I do have a rescued gecko that somebody bought when they were living in residence, and they thought, hey, wouldn't it be a great idea to have a gecko? And they didn't think about the fact that they live for 20 to 30 years, and they were moving out of residence and moving back to China. And that's actually how I ended up with one of my geckos, was I rescued it from somebody who had actually abandoned it and left it in their dorm. And that really sucks. So I just want to be completely honest about that. Like, you are responsible for your pet. If you're a parent and you want to get your kid a pet, that's your pet. It's not your kid's pet. Don't blame your kid when it doesn't get fed. Don't blame your kid when it doesn't get water. And you might want to teach them essential life skills, responsibilities. Pets are great for that. But if they don't feed or water their pet, that's not their ultimate responsibility. You can teach them a lesson. Hey, you have to. But it's not like something where, well, I won't do your laundry until you put it in the wash, and the consequence is the laundry doesn't get done. If you say, well, I'm not going to feed your animal, if you don't, it dies, and that's cruel, and you should not use animals as a means to teach your kids things and not be responsible for the animal itself. So I'm extremely passionate about that. Do not buy your kids a hedgehog. The other thing is, I know so many kids that have gotten hedgehogs, they don't like them because they're spiky, and when you get a hedgehog, you do have to work with them quite a bit to get them tame, especially hand tame, that you can handle them like Chef. I know I make it look easy. I've had him for 3 years. I have videos of when I first had him. It takes a lot of perseverance to break that from a hedgehog. Hedgehogs are very shy, independent creatures by nature. You can see that he covers his face if he doesn't like something, even with me now, and that's what they do. They cover their face and they get spiky and they huff and they puff, and if they're really upset, they make other noises, but you have to work with them. Chef was definitely probably more friendly than average hedgehog, but he still took a lot of work and consistency in handling him and reading his body language. Your 5-year-old isn't going to know how to do that. Realistically, you're not going to know how to do that, and it's going to take you a lot of time to figure out how to do that. So get a grip. If you want to buy a hedgehog, you buy it for you, and you can pretend like it's your kid's pet. You can be, oh, you can name it, whatever, but it's your pet and it's your responsibility. So make sure that you understand that. And like I said, kids don't like them. They're spiky, they take a lot of work. They typically don't smell. They're not like a ferret or other rodents, and well, ferrets aren't rodents, but I don't think, but other like things like certain small animals can smell. Mine, Chef, doesn't smell, but you have to clean him. There's a lot of poop involved in the wheel, in the substrate, in everything. There's so many reasons not to own a hedgehog. There's infinite reasons not to own a hedgehog. I don't want to encourage people to get hedgehogs without knowing the downsides of them, because there's a lot. But since it's the end of the video, I am going to talk about the best parts of owning a hedgehog. The best parts of owning a hedgehog are that you wake up in the middle of the night, they're nocturnal. If that's a downside to you, listen, this is not something that you're going to be keeping in your room. I just need to say that right now. They run on their wheel all night. They run like literal marathon lengths every single night. I'm not kidding. They run more than you do. You might be a crazy runner. He runs more than you do on their wheel every night, and they weigh like about half a kilogram. They're loud and they squeak and they root around, and you will not sleep if one's in your room unless you like that sort of thing. And they don't stink usually in the day, but at night when they're taking like their fresh poops and stuff, oh man, do they stink. And when they're running on their wheel and pooping, they stink. But I love waking up in the night, I go to check on him, and I can just see him running, and he stops on his wheel, and he kind of rocks back and forth on his wheel because he like put the brakes on and the wheel hasn't stopped moving. I love that. I love all the times he used to be a little bit different when he was younger, like cuddle time more. Now he likes exploring more, which is kind of weird. You'd kind of expect the opposite, but I used to have him in my pocket, and I'd walk around my old building with him, and we'd hang out and we'd study together. There's lots of times that he'd fall asleep with me. I remember the first time that I was able to rub his belly. Trust me, that takes a lot of work. And I just have so many good memories with him. He's brought me comfort in so many awful moments where I just needed a little buddy, and he's always been that for me. I enjoy when I clean his cage and he gets so excited. He loves a fresh, clean cage and he roots around. I also have lots of cat toys for my hedgehog. My hedgehog loves toys. And something that I adore about Chef, and you can call me crazy for saying this, but his favorite color is pink. Ever since I've got him, he's always pulled all of the pink toys into his little enclosure and gone to sleep with them. So yeah, so Chef has this thing, I call it his log cabin. Sorry, I've got Nago here. I'm playing with him. Oh, you can say hi to my catty. Oh my gosh, it's Nago. But yeah, we call it Chef's log cabin because it looks like a little log cabin, and that's predominantly where he sleeps. He has a little blanket in there. I got this like Pop-Tart blanket from him off Etsy a long time ago. It's like custom made for him. It's really cute. He's like emotionally attached to this blanket. But yeah, it has pink on it. His favorite toys are all pink. All of the pink toys he pulls into his little house and he sleeps with them and he keeps them in his favorite spots, and the rest of the toys he just kind of doesn't care for. So I don't know why, but yeah, his favorite color is pink. He's always been like that. I also love that I have a very, from what I understand, uncommon color of hedgehog. He's an apricot and he has a pink nose, and he's almost albino colored, but a little bit darker, almost like a darker blonde rather than albinos would be like a platinum blonde. And he still has like the black eyes, not the red eyes. Well, his eyes, if you look really close, are actually blue. It's very hard to see that. But yeah, so he's kind of like an albino, but not with the, I don't want to say creepy red eyes because I do love albino hedgehogs too, but he has the black eyes, which I think are very cute, and a pink nose, like a bright pink nose. He's this very sweet kind of cream color, and I adore him. He's literally the cutest thing on the entire planet. There's not a day when I haven't loved him. I absolutely love seeing him. When I get anxiety and I think he's like dead, because you know they sleep all day, right? Like you don't see them in the daytime, and I'm like, oh my god, you know, I get anxiety and I'm like, maybe he died, and I stick my hand to his little log cabin and I just gently poke his blanket and he's I also love that all my friends know him and all my friends have been anointed by him, and I've forced them to. Once they've been my friends for long enough, everybody's had to get anointed to be, it's like, I don't know, like part of my cult, which I think is so funny. And all my friends do very funny and good reactions and, like, I don't know how to explain it, like impersonations of him and his and a lot of the time, like, we'll almost use it as like an actual like conversation thing. Like if you're like just chef, we'll say like your quills are up, because like chef, when he gets angry, his quills go up. Like which is that he does, he like, they have this like skin on their head and they pull it over their face. It's like part of them curling up into a ball. So he curls his head, like his skin over his face, and only like his little nose peeks out basically. I just love everything about him. Anyway, that's my hedgehog rant. Thank you so much for watching. I'm sorry if you found this depressing in any way. And if you're watching this because you're thinking about getting a hedgehog and you liked everything I said and you're okay with it, then I hope you enjoy your hedgehog baby. Or if you're another hedgehog parent, feel free to talk about your experiences below. Obviously, like, comment, subscribe. We're over 50 subscribers now. If I could get 100, that would be slay. Chefy would be very happy. More worms for Chef. Every subscriber is a worm for Chef. I don't know, that's all very corny, but I feel like I have to say that at the end. I'm just so thankful to everybody who even watches these videos, because I find them so fun to make. And yeah, if you have any questions, reach out to me on my Instagram. I'm always down to talk about plants on my Instagram. And obviously, it's also The Plant Gals. I'll always be The Plant Gals, and I will see you next time. Bye!